Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with 16 programmatic concerto-type sort of kind of works I couldn't live without. This is a real garbage dump of a category. Some of you put these pieces under concertos, and you weren't wrong, because there are just so many pieces in our classical tradition that fall between the cracks, that don't fit into any simple medium or work type or whatever you want to do. But they're wonderful. And some of them are really famous and really popular. And I love a lot of them. These are all pieces for solo with orchestra of some kind. And they have either prominent multiple solo instruments or a single solo instrument, or they are big multi-movement pieces or short little compact pieces. They just, there's no way to define them other than to say they're concerto type pieces for a solo with orchestra of any length, of any in any style, of any type. Well, you'll see from my list. And I hope this gives you a chance to put together your own. Now, I like I said, a lot of you have mentioned some of these because they fit into multiple categories. But feel free to find another list that doesn't use the things that you've already talked about. I mean, why not? So here they are. You know, I have to say one other thing before we start this. You know, this series is going on and on. I don't know, we must be getting close to around 20 or so videos, maybe fewer, but we're going to get there. I wanted to end this rather briefly. I thought this would be a fairly short, just a couple of major works type categories. But you kept giving me wonderful ideas to keep it going. And I'm happy to oblige. And you've had such wonderful ideas in your lists that you've posted. I think it's such a splendid resource. And now, of course, it has its own playlist. Yay! So, you can go and find everything that we've done so far. And I'm so grateful that after that disaster where YouTube deleted 10 days worth of stuff, you resubmitted your original lists. And so it's all back, and it's just terrific. So here we go. 15 programmatic. That's a thing too, by the way. Yes, programmatic concerto-type works. That's the concept. It's got to tell a story and tell a story in a concerto-like style. Got it? Here we go. First, Berlioz, of course, Harold in Italy. Had to find a place to stuff that in somewhere. It's absolutely splendid piece for viola and orchestra, written for Paganini, who never played it because it wasn't virtuosic enough, but he heard it and he arranged for Berlioz to get a pile of money for it. At least that's one story. Some now contest that, but it's a good story, so I'm sticking with it. A lovely, lovely work, full of fun, that, like everything that Berlioz wrote, it's somewhat underrated and not as frequently played as it deserves to be. But, it's so exciting, the concluding orgy of brigands, and the tunes are wonderful, and, so there's that. Then Strauss, Don Quixote, with a cello and a viola and a tenor tuba. I think of the three soloists, but it's mostly a work for cello and orchestra. I could have stuck it in themes and variations. It's also a theme and variations. It has, it checks a lot of boxes for what you get. It's a tone poem. It's a theme and variations. It's a cello concerto. It's a double concerto for cello and viola. It's a triple concerto for cello and viola and tenor tuba. It's really quite the viola and tenor tuba are Sancho Panza, by the way. Brilliant work, absolutely brilliant. Not one of my favorite Strauss tone poems, actually, personally, but I couldn't live without it. Certainly not in the realm of this kind of music. Rimsky-Korsakov, Scheherazade. It's very funny. It's very funny. Scheherazade has such a reputation as a brilliant work for orchestra, but people forget just how much solo violin there is in it. As Scheherazade herself. I mean, she leads off all of the movements except the third, where she appears in the middle, and then has just this endless solo where she's accompanying things and doing all kinds of stuff, and she ends the whole work. So, yeah, it's a concertante work in a sense. It's programmatic. Some very famous violinists have played that violin part. David Oistrakh did Scheherazade. I mean, you know, if it was good enough for him, then I think it deserves to be on this list. And of course, it's such a screaming masterpiece, and it's not really a symphony. I mean, it could go with the tone poems very easily, because it is that. You know, Rimsky called it a symphonic suite. Well, that's helpful, isn't it? I could do a whole nother list of symphonic suites, but I'm not going to, I don't think. I think we're getting sort of close to where I want to be with this, so just hang in there. Next, Saint-Saëns, his Africa fantasy, based on Africa things. I mean, the program is no story to it. The program is simply transporting us to an exotic geographical locale. And it's for piano and orchestra, and it's absolutely delightful. It's a kind of a late work, and I think Saint-Saëns was very proud of it. It's a masterpiece of its kind, and somebody should take, I've said this a billion times, these short Saint-Saëns piano and orchestra pieces, the Africa Fantasy and the Wedding Cake, and throw them all together. And there are 3 of them, and just do them all. And it would be splendid as a concerto length happening for an enterprising pianist and orchestra. And it will never happen. We will grow old and die first. So there you go. John Foulds, the dynamic triptych. Now, some of you put this in the concerto area, and I agree with that. But it is a one of his. Foulds was in India, and his wife was heavily into all sorts of mystical stuff, and he wrote these pieces based on Hindu mythology and you know, ragas and Indian motives and you know, karma and power and whatever. It has 3 movements, and they are thrilling. It's a wonderful, wonderful work for piano and orchestra. The 3 mantras is the other thing, but the dynamic triptych here is the piece for piano and orchestra. And it goes with the 3 mantras. This is other big orchestral work from his Indian phase, and it's just marvelous, absolutely marvelous. Next, let's see, Chausson, the Poème for violin and orchestra. I mean, there is a poem behind that piece. And it's a big work. I mean, it's 15 minutes long. It's a serious, serious piece of music. Beautiful to listen to. One of his major orchestral pieces, along with the symphony in B flat. And, oh my goodness, it doesn't get played like it used to. There was a time when these short pieces for solo and orchestra used to get performed with major soloists, too. I mean, major soloists have all recorded it. You know, Perlman recorded it, Oistrakh recorded it, everybody recorded it. But to actually see it live, I have seen it live, but not in a normal concert. I saw it live with the Yale Symphony Orchestra at Wolsey Hall under Otto Werner Müller. I don't remember even who the soloist was, but they did it, and it was absolutely beautiful. I think there's another opportunity to take one of those, you know, short violin pieces, you know, the Havanese thing or the Ravel's Tsigana even. Ugh. And do a couple of short French pieces for violin and orchestra that you put together and make one larger thing that's of concerto length. And then we would have a fabulous program, and the audience would love it. Oh, they would. You know, you just need a major soloist because people come to hear the soloist. They don't care what they play. So anyway, so there. Sibelius, Luonnotar. Luonnotar is brilliant. It's a tone poem for soprano and orchestra, a creation myth. It's only like 9 minutes long. It's not a big work, but it's a brilliant one. And it really does tell a story. It tells the story of the creation according to the Kalevala. And it's very strange. It involves a bird and an egg and an elemental being floating around in the water. And when the egg hatches, the mottled shell becomes the stars and the yolk becomes the sun, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's spooky and primal, and oh God, it's amazing. So yes, it belongs in this category. Bernstein, The Age of Anxiety, his second symphony. It's a symphony concertant for piano and orchestra that is based on the poem by W.H. Auden. Absolutely terrible poem as far as I can tell, but it was like a big deal in the 50s because it was all psychoanalytical and neurotic, and the piece is psychoanalytical and neurotic. It's actually brilliantly written, lots of fun, and it has a big happy ending, which the poem doesn't really, but that's okay. So there's that. Then Hindemith's The Four Temperaments. This is a ballet for piano and orchestra. Actually, it's quite similar to, the Poulenc Aubade, which is not on my list. Why not? Oh, well, I mentioned it. So there you go, which is similar. A choreographic concerto, a ballet for piano and orchestra. In this case, for piano and string orchestra. And you all know what the Four Temperaments are, so we don't need to go into it, but it's a splendid work, a wonderful work that used to be quite popular, actually. It had its moments when it was very well known, but it doesn't seem to be as much as it used to be. It deserves to return to favor. Then we've got, especially for chamber orchestras, you got a bunch of strings, you got a piano. Do it! Why not? I think they still do once in a while. César Franck, Les Djinns, the symphonic poem. Well, you know what Djinns are, genies, and this is a brilliant, brilliant tone poem for piano and orchestra that nobody ever plays. Wow. There's some of these very, very fine orchestral pianists out there. Some people who later became famous concert pianists began their lives in the orchestra playing orchestral piano. Why? Earl Wild played orchestral piano. Why don't we do Les Djinns regularly? Let the guy have, or girl or whoever it is, have a chance to have a solo stint. All these wonderful works with these fabulously talented musicians in our orchestras today. It would be great to give them a chance to play some of these pieces. Then Bloch, Schelomo! Oh, I love Schelomo. It's really a one-movement cello concerto. It's a tone poem about King Solomon. And oh my word, what a brilliant, gorgeous piece of exotic Orientalist schlock. Great stuff. And wonderful tunes, full of passion and singing stuff. It's just amazing. So we've got Schelomo, and then, oh yes, Vaughan Williams, Flos Campi, Flowers of the Field, based on the Song of Songs. Each movement, it has like 5 or 6 movements, has a little superscript from the Song of Songs over it. This is for solo viola, chamber orchestra, and wordless choir. It is an absolutely indescribable piece, indefinable. It falls in no category. It just is what it is. It's very erotic. It's a very erotic sounding thing. Holst and Vaughan Williams shared each other's, work, and he took one look at it and looked at Vaughan Williams and said, "Where the hell did that come from? What on earth is that?" It's a splendid work that people don't know because it's so strange. It doesn't get performed ever, maybe. I don't know. Maybe in England they do it once in a while, but it's remarkable. And it's a beautiful work for solo viola. Then let's see, Tcherepnin, his Piano Concerto No. 4, subtitled Fantaisie. This is from his Chinese period. It's based on Chinese folk legends. 3 movements, 3 different Chinese folk legends using Chinese themes. And it's more fun than anyone has any right to have. If you like Saint-Saëns' Egyptian Concerto, which of course I can't get enough of, you're going to love Tcherepnin's 4th Piano Concerto. Give it a listen. There's a wonderful performance by Noriko Ogawa on bass. She did all the Tcherepnin Piano Concerti, and it's absolutely fantastic. Then Messiaen, the Turangalila-Symphonie. Right, yes. We talked about this a few times because it's just so much fun. It's such a crazy, crazy piece. It's insane, but it's for solo piano and solo glockenspiel, keyboard glockenspiel, and solo vibraphone and solo Ond Martineau going wee like that. And it's all about love and Tristan and Isolde and the cosmic interplay of creation and destruction and being and nothingness and nirvana and dining out at your favorite Indian restaurant and all of that stuff. And it's just tremendous. We've described it many times, so I'm not going to go into it again here, but boy, is that fun. Then Arnold Bach's Winter Legends, which is another huge work for piano and orchestra. And the legends are, who knows, Celtic something or other. It doesn't make any difference. The music is Bachian. It's Bachian, it's chromatic, it's brilliant, it's hyper romantic, it's lush, it's amazing. And last but not least, one of the most iconic of them all, Falla's Nights in the Gardens of Spain, which many of you listed as a piano concerto, and it is. I mean, there's no question about that, it is. But the piano part is sort of symphonically integrated, often as, texture or evocative atmospherics. It's a very difficult work to play. For the soloist, Alicia de la Rocha owned it, and I saw her play it at one of her last concerts in New York. She still had the chops for it. What a beautiful work. It's such a beautiful work. 3 tone poems about Spain. And it's one of the most gorgeous examples of Impressionism in the entire repertoire. And wow. So it's programmatic. It's a concerto type. I can't live without it. And that, my friends, gives you 16 of these. So you know what we're looking for here. And go for it. I can't wait to see what you come up with. You don't have to do 16, remember. You don't have to stick to one work per composer. You can, however it works for you, is perfectly fine. But give it your best shot. Let's see what happens. Thank you so much for joining me, and take care.